Week 7 on the CFL schedule begins with Thursday Night Football right here in Winnipeg at IG Field. And in the end, Bombers coming into this thing as a huge favorite. They do end up winning 28-14, but Edmonton certainly hung around until Winnipeg made a couple of big plays.
Yeah, we talked about the return of Kenny Lawler. We'll get to him. He had a big game in his return to Winnipeg. But, you know, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are a sound football team. Didn't like the result, didn't like how it happened last week. And yes, the Elks hung around. I mean, this was third quarter until Dembski kind of broke it open and got the big lead. They end up giving up a safety, the Edmonton Elks, and that adds to the lead late in the game. And that's when the time of possession difference in this game, Dustin, as you know, just completely kind of took over. The Edmonton Elks got very tired, and Dembski makes another big play. No panic in Winnipeg after the loss to Ottawa. They kind of weathered about a 2.5 quarter storm from Edmonton and then separated in the fourth quarter.
And Dembski was absolutely terrific tonight. Over 100 yards, had that big touchdown, and he chatted with our John Liu after the game.
Well, Nick, first and foremost, your fellow receiver, Kenny Lawler, can you just describe what effect he had on your team in this game this evening?
Yeah, I mean, it's not just what he does on the field. It's what he does on the sidelines, what he does in the huddle, you know, what he does in the locker room. You know, he just brings that energy and that dog to the receiving corps, you know. So, you know, it's great to have that type of energy. And then, you know, the plays that he makes on the field, you know, they say it all right there for himself.
I know that every week is different, but coming off of last weekend's loss on a short turnaround, how satisfying was this win to be able to grind it out the way you guys did?
Yeah, it's a big one. I mean, you know what, any win feels nice, but, you know, it didn't go our way last week. You know, we had to look ourselves in the mirror and kind of look at each other as teammates as well to come out here and play good football. So for us to, you know, get the job done and do it in front of our home crowd going into a bye week, man, it means a lot. So we're going to enjoy this week and then it's back to work.
Given the timing of your 70-yard catch and run, did it feel like that was a game-changing moment?
You know what, I just love making plays for this team. You know, I think it gave some excitement, of course, but at the end of the day, I mean, that's what I get paid to do. So that's what it is.
Thanks for this, Nick.
Thank you.
Big game for Dembski. He was also asked there about Kenny Lawler. It was nice getting Kenny Lawler back for the Bombers as well. And we talked about some of the big plays, but then when you get to the fourth quarter, you just hand the ball off to Brady Oliveira.
Well, you know, it's funny because Dembski talked about their game last week against Ottawa, and that Ottawa comeback started with a pick. So when they had a 2-possession lead tonight, Winnipeg went to the ground game. And quite frankly, the Elks did a good job for 3 quarters limiting Brady Oliveira, but not in the fourth quarter, not when they wanted to grind it down with a 2-possession game. Oliveira finishes with 17 carries and 110 yards, most of them coming in the last 2 or 3 series of this game as the Bombers grind it down with a 2-possession lead.
Yeah, we've seen that a few times this season in Bombers victories, just a heavy diet of Brady Oliveira. Late Zach Collaros in this game, over 300 yards passing and a couple of touchdowns. He caught up with John Liu after the game.
Well, Zach, after some early turnovers and then a strong second half, how would you characterize this win?
You know, a total team victory. The defense, you know, played well, I thought, all night long. Kept us in it there early on when we couldn't stay on the field and get first downs. You know, obviously we were able to run the ball out at the end there, and I thought we made enough big plays in the pass game to keep us in it and then get us ahead.
Yeah, when you mentioned running in the fourth quarter, Brady was really racking up the yardage, reminiscent of 2 weeks ago against Calgary. Was this another case of softening up the Edmonton defense?
I think it's just trusting him and trusting our offensive line. They're in great condition, and the toughest group I've ever played with, and it just really happened to finish the game like that.
Just describe the Kenny Lawler effect, not just on the field, but what he brought back into the dressing room when he returned to practice this week.
Again, he just he lifts up the whole locker room with just his personality. Obviously in the field, you know, everybody can see what he can do, and we're just really happy he's back out there.
Thanks for this, Zach.
See you.
Kenny Lawler had 7 catches for 93 yards. His second on the night, absolutely spectacular. Watch SportsCenter. Watch the highlight reel.
Yeah, it was brilliant. And now everything's fine in Bomberland. 5-2 heading into a bye week. On the other side for Edmonton, 0-7, and we'll head home looking for that elusive home victory next week against the BC Lions.